Hello, Seth again. In this video, we're going to look at two completely different but valuable resources for studying the words of the Bible as we seek to become better Bible readers. And I'll explain one old and one new resource. A word of caution, in this video, as we're talking about some tools for studying the words of the Bible, I'll make reference to studying words or doing word studies, but we're not going to get into the specific details of how to do a thorough word studies. And I plan to do another video later on about how to do a technical word study if that's something you would like to do. This video is more in your own personal study. If you're curious about something, I'm going to give you a couple tools to help feed that curiosity and help you learn. To begin, let's look at stepbible.org. And if you watched my last video, hopefully you followed my advice and spent some time clicking around that website. It's really cool. Step Bible is a project of Tyndale House, and you can look up any passage in the Bible and click on any hyperlinked words. Those words are words that translate a specific word in the original language, and that will show you a basic definition, and you can instantly look up every place that word appears in the Bible. Here's Deuteronomy 6. Look at verses 4 and 5. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. Now, let's say I want to do a study on the word love in verse 5. I can hover my cursor over the word, and I can see a basic definition. I can see a transliteration of the word. That's a spelling with English letters that tell you how the Hebrew word would be pronounced. Ahev. Or, depending on other spellings, ahav. If I click on the word, you can see the basic definition. You can see a more detailed definition, depending on the context. You can see related words. You can also see Strong's number, Hebrew 0157. And I'll explain more about why Strong's number is helpful in a minute. But the coolest feature is that I can click this link and see every time that the word ahav occurs in the Hebrew Bible. They're all going to be in the Old Testament because the word is Hebrew. I can also go back and see cross-references for where this passage is cited in the New Testament. If I click on the passage in Mark, it will open that verse, and if I click on this icon, I can open that in another tab, and then read Mark 12:29. Jesus answered, "The most important is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength." Let's say I wanted to see the information on the Greek word for love. Again, I hover over the word. I can see a basic definition. I can see an English transliteration of the Greek word agapao. And again, I can click on the word, see a more detailed definition, and an even more detailed definition down below. I can see related words to agapao, in this case agape and agapetas. And again, the really cool feature here is I can search every case that agapao appears in the New Testament just by clicking that link. I should be able to click on this link to look up every case where the word agapao appears in the New Testament. Now, Step Bible is a fantastic free resource, but there are sometimes glitches. But if I want to look it up, I can just go to the search bar and search it there. And there I see every place that agapao appears in the New Testament. So it's a really cool and powerful resource. Again, I can see Strong's number, Greek word number 25, and again I'll explain why that is important in a minute. Another cool feature of Step Bible is I can search more than one word at a time, and I can search in English, Greek, or Hebrew. So let's say I wanted to search love and heart. So I'll search the English word love. I will search the English word heart. And it will show me every case in the Bible, because I'm searching the English terms, where both of those words appear. I can do the same search with the Hebrew word for love and the Hebrew word for heart and find all the verses where those two words appear in the Old Testament. I can also search the Greek words for love, agapao, and heart, and find all the verses where those two words appear together in the New Testament. So it's a very powerful tool that is a lot of fun to use for study. The default translation for stepbible.org is the ESV. There are other translations available. Some have more features than others. For example, the NIV, you cannot click on words in the English language. I can also look at the Hebrew and Greek on stepbible.org. So if I click here, I can see a Hebrew text for Deuteronomy 6. And here's our word to love, ahav. Step Bible also has an iPhone app, but the app is very limited compared to the website. All in all, stepbible.org is a wonderful resource for those who want to study the words of the Bible as they become better Bible readers. If you are more old school, another common resource is Strong's Exhaustive Concordance. Here is my really old edition. Old editions are really inexpensive. They're easy to find used online or at Christian bookstores. But even if you got a more recently printed one, they're relatively affordable. Like I said, Strong's is really old, originally published in 1890, which means a lot of information is dated and should be taken with a grain of salt. You may even hear academics say if it's in Strong's, it's probably wrong. I actually find this incredibly impressive. This was put together in 1890, meaning they looked up every single occurrence by hand. It's just mind-blowing how much work went into this. So yes, it's dated. Yes, it needs to be taken with a grain of salt. But holy cow, were some people really smart and good at Bible languages. So for those studying the Bible academically or for preaching, Strong's is definitely limited in its usefulness and reliableness. But for those who can't read the original languages, it has two really handy features. First, you can look up the words in English, and the words used are from the King James Version. So if an English word appears in the King James Version, it is in Strong's. Here, you can see the entry for love, and notice both Deuteronomy 6:5 and Mark 12:30 appear in the entry. So you can look up any word in English. That's really handy. The second feature that's really cool with Strong's is each word in the original language is given a number. That number then can be used to cross-reference the information in Strong's with other resources. The blueletterbible.com, another cool Bible study website, relies on the information in Strong's pretty heavily. So those numbers that you see in the physical copy are going to be there in Blue Letter Bible, just like the words in stepbible.org have Strong's number. So if you look at the entry for Deuteronomy 6:5, you'll see these little quote marks next to the verse. That means it's the same number as the word before it, and so on, until you see that the word for love in Genesis 29:32 is Strong's word number 157. So the word in Genesis 29:32 is ahav. The word in Deuteronomy 6:5 is ahav. Both of those are the root word number 157. Then, if you have an edition like this one that includes the Greek and Hebrew dictionaries in the back, you can look up the Hebrew word using that number. Even if I wasn't paying attention in the last video and didn't memorize the Hebrew alphabet, so I'm not able to look up the word ahav, I can look for number 157 and find it and see the Hebrew word, see the transliteration and pronunciation, ahav, and a basic definition, affection or love. So I can find number 157 in the dictionary and see that the Hebrew word is ahav. With that information, I can use another old resource, such as Wigram's Englishman's Concordance. Here's my old copy of it. Now, this is available for free as an ebook from Google, but it's a really big file. So you can see all this information for free online, but you're going to have to be patient because you can't just click a link to the word that you want to study. You've got to click through it. That would be really tedious. But if you find a paperback copy like this, they're pretty cheap. So in Wigram's Concordance, everything is sorted by the Hebrew word. Strong's, everything's by the English word. Wigram's is by the Hebrew word. And I can confirm that I'm working with the same Hebrew word because of that number, 157, which Wigram's uses. Anyways, this is a really cool resource. A lot of what this does, stepbible.org does. Additionally, I can use my knowledge of the Hebrew alphabet, if you watch my last video, to look up ahav in the classic Brown Driver Briggs Hebrew lexicon. See it there? And I can confirm I'm working with the right word because Strong's has the number 157 there as well. You can also get this on Google Books for free as an ebook. Again, it's a huge file. It's very difficult to use, but it is for free if you don't want to spend the $20 to $30 to get a copy of the printed lexicon. Then, if I want to study the word for love used in Mark 12:30, I can find that entry in Strong's and see that it is Strong's Greek word number 25. I can go to the back of my Strong's lexicon to look up word 25, and that will show me the Greek word that is used in Mark 12:30, agapao. Then, using my knowledge of the Greek alphabet, I can look up agapao in my Greek lexicon, affectionately referred to as BDAG or BDAG. BDAG is a much more expensive resource. You're not going to find it online, and it doesn't use Strong's numbers. But if you're doing in-depth study of Greek passages, it's really, really helpful. The more affordable Thayer's lexicon does use Strong's number, so you can confirm that you're working with the correct word. Thayer's, however, is very outdated and quite unreliable. So it's helpful, but you shouldn't be making any huge theological claims based on what you find in Thayer's. There are many other helpful resources which do other important things. If you're pursuing training in biblical languages themselves, or you're doing detailed word studies, you'll need to become familiar with some of those other tools. But between Step Bible, if you like to do things online, and Strong's Concordance, if you like to have a physical book, whether you're high-tech or low-tech, you have access to some really powerful resources to understand the words of the Bible as you seek to become a better Bible reader. In my next video, I'm going to explain the process for how we understand what words mean. It's more complicated than just looking something up in the dictionary or the lexicon. So that's going to be a really important conversation. Again, if you have questions, please leave me a comment and I will do my best to answer those. Thank you so much.